Hi everyone, we are at the end of October. Halloween is coming up, and around this time of the year I always see on YouTube very interesting videos talking about the excessive buying of Halloween house decor. But this year, personally, I want to talk about a slightly different topic, and that is the overconsumption regarding Halloween costumes. So without further ado, just let's get straight into the video. In addressing today's topic, I want to start with the account of a specific influencer. And given the content we'll be covering in this video, I think some of you may already have an idea on who she is. But for those of you who aren't familiar with her, let me introduce to you not Sophie Silva, an extremely successful content creator who has built a community of 4.3 million followers and whose videos garner millions of views every single day. Apart from her pinned videos, the first of which has 88.2 million views, which is an incredibly high number. But also all of her other TikToks still have millions of views, and these are the videos that she posts on a daily basis, so these are the numbers that she reaches every single day. In this video, my intention is absolutely not to criticize her as a person, but rather I want to highlight a trend that has taken hold on social media in recent years, and that, especially on TikTok, especially among influencers, and which has significant implications for the way in which users, especially younger ones, interpret the world around them. Therefore, this video isn't about her. I'll start with her and then move on to other topics. So I ask you to bear with me for a moment in the beginning, because there's a logical thread that links all the topics that I want to talk about today, and as I continue, you will start to understand where I'm going. Anyway, Not Sophie Silva particularly caught my attention last year, and I think you all ended up seeing at least one of her videos on your For You page, because the TikTok algorithm loved them and pushed them everywhere and to everyone. Specifically, I'm talking about videos from a series that she created in 2024. I actually don't know if it existed before, but I do know that it was definitely particularly successful in 2024, which she called 31 Days of Halloween Costume. As the title suggests, the intent behind the series was to show a different Halloween costume each day for the month of October. So let's take a look to what a typical TikTok from this series looks like, so that we know what we're talking about here. Yes, it's as simple as that. She is showing all the items, the clothes, the accessories that she's going to wear, and by the end of the video we have a complete Halloween costume. And this same thing goes on until the end of October. I should point out though that even though the title refers to 31 days, she actually didn't stop there. She didn't stop at day 31. You don't trust me? Let's take a look at a TikTok that she published at the end of the 31 Days of Halloween Costume series of last year in 2024. This video is a recap of all the Halloween costumes that she created for the month of October. As you can see, she proposed a few more costumes. I counted 34 of them, as if 31 weren't already enough. By now, you will have realized that these are very unique and well-made costumes, which makes them quite expensive. But beyond that, which we'll discuss later, the idea I want to start with is that 31 costumes for one person, when Halloween is one day out of 365 of the year, it seems a bit excessive to me. I also want to say that this series has been particularly successful, and for this reason this year it started early, no longer in October but already in August, with a mini-series that had a slightly different name but still featured various Halloween costumes. And after that, on October 1st, the same series started again with the 2025 edition. So we're gonna have at least 31 costumes, probably more, and all of these costumes will be completely different from the 2024 edition. So if we only look at Halloween costumes, I counted them. We have the 34 costumes of last year, the at least 31 of this year, plus the 7 costumes bonus of August. And all of these easily adds up to 72 Halloween costumes for a single person in a single year, which seems like a complete waste to me, especially considering she only got to wear one of these. Let's also assume that, being an influencer, she had multiple parties to attend. That could be true, but I still don't think she went to 72 different Halloween parties in a year. So I wonder, where did all those costumes she bought to showcase on her account go? We'll talk about that. Whatever use she made of them, however, it's a waste of money and especially of materials, absolutely excessive, and it promotes the idea that it is normal to have more than one costume for Halloween, when honestly it's not. Mainly because many people don't have the money to afford them, but also because I like to think that people have enough common sense to understand that it's truly a waste to have multiple costumes for a party that is one day out of the entire year. Let's start with two of our videos in particular, which give us a visual image of the waste that influencers generate to create this type of content. Let me show you the second one, much more detailed.
When your outfits look like this, people tend to assume your closet looks like this. And today I'm here to prove you wrong. I get asked every single day, Sophie, where do you store these 31 Halloween costumes? What does your closet look like? Today I am exposing myself and showing y'all. This mirrored wall right here is my actual closet. Like, this is the only closet space I have, and these are all my normal clothes. Very organized, but
As you can see, her wardrobe is so full of clothes that I don't even know how she managed to pick one up, because it seems very difficult to do so without knocking over all the others. But let's keep watching.
the costume. So basically I have a 1-bedroom apartment and my entire apartment is just my closet. Like the moment you step out of this bedroom, it's just clothes. So immediately upon opening the door, we have this lovely little setup right here. So I really enjoy not being able to step on my floors. My legs are completely bruised because I've eaten shit so many times while wearing heels and jumping over this. So this is my couch. I kid you not, I can't remember the last time I actually sat on this couch. This is a beautiful section of my living room. I really enjoy jumping over this daily. Here's my costume hanging rack for all the stuff that just can't be on the ground. Here's the kitchen cabinet where I keep all of my boots. It's extremely organized and super easy to find things. So this is my dining table I was telling y'all about that I can't sit at currently. This is what I like to call the nail bay. A bunch of press-on nails everywhere because anyone who knows me knows I like to match my nails to my outfits.
So the rest of the video shows how the rest of the house is also covered in clothes. You can't sit on the couch, you can't walk on the floor, you can't eat at the kitchen table. And in this case, obviously the problem isn't the lack of order, which is completely understandable given the job that she does. But I think that perhaps sometimes when we see a clean, well-edited video, even if it shows a different costume every day, we still don't realize the real situation. Perhaps we need a concrete image of what it really means, of how all of this waste translates into reality. Because seeing all those costumes piled up, knowing that most of them can't be used in everyday life, or even on Halloween, because there are just too many of them, and yet seeing all the apartment covered in them, gives us a tangible idea of the waste that has been created. By the way, I chose this influencer because precisely this 31 Days of Halloween costume series is one of her signature features. She's famous for it. However, there is a warning number of other influencers, large and small, doing exactly the same thing. So let's watch some of them together.
Spooky bitches, it's my 31 Days of Halloween costume series. Today we're starting off with Britney Spears.
It's officially October 1st, and you know what that means. It is the start to my annual series, 31 Days of Halloween Costumes.
Considering that each of them has 31 costumes, or as we've seen even more, the overall situation is absolutely disastrous. There's a huge waste of costumes which at best are sold or donated to charity, and at worst are thrown away and repurchased the following year to generate new content. It's truly problematic as well as a bit dystopian to think how some people have reached such high levels of consumption and waste on materials that in this case aren't even used outside of the video. You buy something physical to publish something digital. That object is no longer useful as an object, but only as its image transfigured into digital. It's truly dystopian when you think of people living at war or without food. Obviously, it doesn't mean that you can't enjoy what you have, but it seems absurd to me that we have reached such extremes of consumerism that one person can own more than 31 Halloween costumes that will never be used, while another person doesn't even have a loaf of bread. And of course, it's not the fault of a single influencer, it's the fault of a system, that of capitalism and consumerism. But, well, it just makes you think. Anyway, let's get back to what we were saying before, and let's watch together a video. It's interesting because I have a particular take on this one, maybe a bit controversial, but let's see if you agree with me or not.
Let's go shopping for 31 days. Well, actually, I don't know how many days we'll end up doing, but let's go shopping for Halloween costumes, shall we? Obviously, we had to head over to the thrift store, and let me know if you can guess what costumes.
So I chose this particular video because I wanted to talk about this topic. Some might say that she at least isn't buying new pieces, so she's going around in thrift stores and she's buying used items. So in a sense, she's reducing the waste. But I don't completely agree with that. Let's remember that thrift stores were frequented by people that couldn't afford new clothes, and so they would try to find something at a cheaper price there. Until a few years ago, thrift stores became very popular, and also now, even if it's no longer the current trend, it's still a habit to go there for young guys and girls. Aside from the fact that these stores took advantage of this trend and raised the prices, thus harming those who were truly in need. And honestly, in this case, thinking of someone going to multiple thrift stores to find pieces not for one costume, but for multiple costumes that they don't actually need, it's totally unnecessary. You're taking away clothes from people who might actually need them, and that, I don't know, can't buy their kids a sweater because you had to do not one but 31 Halloween costumes to post on your social media. So yes, there's definitely less waste in the sense that you are not buying something new, but at the same time, it's still something totally unnecessary that comes at the expense of other people. But since we're used to not think about others anymore, I truly think that most people don't even do it maliciously. They just don't realize it, and I can't decide if I think that that's worse or better. Anyway, let's move on to another topic, and let me ask you a question. But why go buying 31 different Halloween costumes? Why? You guessed it, there's only one answer, and that is content creation. There's a very interesting video that explains it very clearly. Let's watch it together, shall we?
Here's some unique content ideas you can use for the month of October. Let's get the obvious out of the way. October is the month of Halloween, so videos about costume ideas are going to be really popular right now. One idea I love is that girl Halloween costumes, or costume ideas to be that girl on Halloween. I also love the idea of doing a thrift approved Halloween costumes idea video to create costume ideas that include basic pieces that you can find at pretty much any thrift store so people can DIY a costume on a budget. I can see a video like that getting a lot of saves and shares. And obviously any Halloween snack or food idea videos are probably going to do pretty well around this time too. And then shifting away from just Halloween, I feel like entering October is like full permission from the universe to enter full-on fall mode. So one idea I love that could be a mini fall series is your autumn attire agenda. You can show your fall outfits you'd wear for the week or different outfits you wear for different fall activities. I also love the idea of Fit-tober, like October, but to show your different fall fits. And this could also work for the fitness and wellness creators out there to show workout routines or healthy recipes in October. Speaking of the fitness and wellness creators, tapping into the winter arc niche could be really fun as we enter the
pause right here to comment what she said. In my opinion, videos like this openly admit that certain things are done with the sole purpose of growing on TikTok. I feel like things used to be different, especially on YouTube. When I was younger, I felt much more authenticity. Today, however, every single video I see is promoting something. Influencers are constantly promoting products. And if you buy these products through their link, they make money. And they earn a lot more money through collaborations and brand deals than with likes or shares or comments, and we all know this by now, so it's not news. But the point is that videos like this show that today this mechanism is accepted and normalized. Once upon a time, it was the other way around. Passion came first and then the content. For example, someone passionate about makeup or fashion would share that interest with the world with spontaneous content, and then they will make a ton of money from it too. But while you were watching, you could sense that they were truly passionate about it. Today, however, it's the other way around. Most people wouldn't do what they do on their own initiative, but they do it because it generates content. Now let's stop this video for a moment. We're going to come back later on. And let's go back to my now friend Sophie to analyze 2 more of her videos, which allow us to introduce another important point of this topic.
Guys, it finally came in the mail. This is my #1 Halloween costume this year, and I ordered it back in August. You're probably like, Sophie, why did you have to order it back in August? And it's because I got it custom made in Vietnam with my measurements. So this is a lot of fabric. I want y'all to guess how much money I spent on this. I'm not going to tell y'all right now. Today I'm going to be showing you guys everything I used to create my Katniss Everdeen Halloween costume and how much it cost in total. First, I started with a base, which was this faux leather bodysuit. It also comes with the garters. Got this from a brand called Yandy, and it was $75. Next are the black knee-high boots I was wearing. These are the Vince Camuto Sangetti boots. They're $229 total, but it's important to note I already owned these before, so I didn't spend more money on them. Okay, on top of the black bodysuit, I layered a faux leather corset. I got this one from Amazon, and it was $60. Next, I got shoulder armor to mimic Katniss's crazy armored look. This is from Amazon, and it cost $27. I also got these half-palmed gloves because I think they look really cool and they just add another level to the look. These are from Amazon. They're only like $8. And then here is her iconic Mockingjay pen, also from Amazon. This was $10. Of course, I had to get a quiver for my arrows. This one was from Amazon and it was $14. And last but not least, here's the bow and arrow set that I got from Amazon. It's not just a prop, it's a legitimate longbow. And I spent $76 on this, which is probably a little too much, but this is how the costume looked once I put everything together. I'm honestly so happy with how it turned out. I strung the bow backwards, but we're not going to talk about that. Okay, I just tallied everything up and the total is exactly $500. But if you subtract the boots, which I already owned, and the bow and arrow, which you can definitely find a cheaper alternative for, it's only about $194.
Let's read some of her comments. This person said, it's only about $194. Girl, what? And another person said, I spend like $20 a year. And I want to say to you that that is completely normal because you are not an influencer. You are not doing this as a job. And we are arriving to this point very slowly, but we are going there. I will explain it to you in a minute. If I spent that much on a costume, I would wear it every single year because there's no way. And we don't even know if she got to wear it. Because let's remember that she has over 31 Halloween costumes and Halloween is just one day. So we don't actually know which of the costumes she chose to wear this year. Maybe these $194 or $500 if you look at the total were spent only to do this series on TikTok. It's a possibility, a very real one. You should find a cheaper alternative for people who love the costume but don't have enough money, so we can wear it but not spend as much. And I want you to keep in mind this comment because I'm going to say something about this. So let's remember it together.
Today I'm going to show you guys everything I used to create my Linda from Rio Halloween costume and how much it cost in total. This is how the costume looked with everything put together. I'm actually obsessed and I will be wearing this every single Halloween for the rest of my life. I don't care if I'm 7.
It's wildly ironic that she says, I'm gonna wear it every single Halloween of my life because she already have enough costumes to probably cover up all the Halloweens of her life. So yeah, it's pretty ironic, if you know what I mean.
I added everything up and the grand total for this costume is $342, which is actually technically less than my Katniss costume, but still pretty expensive, I will say.
She wrote in the comments that she forgot to calculate the cost of her glasses, so the total adds up to $392.
Pirate outfit got over 60 million views on all my social media, so today we're going to calculate how much it cost to create it. Okay, I just calculated the total and it comes out to $414.75.
So we have 500 plus 392 plus 414 plus 194. and the total is 1,500 for just 4 over costumes. So this is a salary, a 1 month salary that she spent on 4 of all of her costumes. Let's remember that she has more than 31 costumes. It's an unimaginable amount of money that she is spending on these items, and in a moment we're gonna know why, if you haven't already guessed it. And this is where we come at our first key point. When the average consumer, especially young ones, see these kind of videos, they inevitably compare themselves. Under the video of Padme's costume, there was a person who commented, "I thought I could afford it, but I could never." And I'm here to remind you that for influencers, this is their job. The monies that they spend on this costume, it's an investment. It serves to generate more likes, more views, and more money. In the comment section, many people ask where the various elements were bought, and through those affiliate links, influencers earn even more. These videos allow them to generate further wealth, which is partially kept and partially reinvested for future content, for next year's costumes, apparently. The second point leads us to another reflection. This system is a loop that creates even more waste, even for the influencers themselves, because every year they have to outdo themselves, creating increasingly elaborate content, spending more and more and more, and therefore producing even more waste. Think about that. Every year, influencers have to redo the same series because they know it brings in a lot of money, but obviously they can't repropose the same costumes of the previous year. Social media is an environment where things change constantly, very quickly. Trends, user expectations, everything. Today, audiences always want to see something new and something better. This means having to come up with 31 different costumes every year, trying to maintain that wow effect, that amazement that keeps followers glued. And while it's clear that this lifestyle isn't realistic or attainable for most people, many still compare themselves. This gives rise to that sense of dissatisfaction that makes you think you never have enough. But let's see what this mentality leads to. Those first dresses are literally over 1,000. Price range for those first ones, they're like 1,400.
I spent $500 on Amazon for my Halloween costumes. I'm gonna show you guys everything and then you can guess what I am. These are only 2 costumes.
I spent $800 on Amazon Halloween costumes. Let's do a little unboxing. Everything is gonna be linked on my Amazon storefront.
Personally, I think that some people wouldn't even spend so much money on Halloween costumes if it weren't for the fact that saying online I spend $800 or euros on my costumes generates curiosity, attention, and validation. So essentially, they'd be spending their money not because they want these costumes, but because they want to do the hauls online. Make it make sense, but I truly think that nowadays this is the reality.
All my Halloween costumes just arrived, so let's do an unboxing. Okay, the first thing.
Under this video, someone commented, "You don't need this many costumes in 1 year. I know some of these are from your friend, but this is still so excessive and wasteful."
Halloween try-on haul. Okay, so
Wait, how many Halloween are you having? Because it's normal now to have multiple costumes. I thought Halloween was one night, right?
What the massive Shein haul Halloween edition.
Under this video, someone commented, "Why are everyone ordering from Shein, Temu, or Amazon?" Because we have 2 categories of users. The ones that take inspiration from influencers by spending as much as they do, and the other half are people who don't have enough money but they still want to emulate and try to be like influencers, so they end up buying a lot of costumes like them, but since they haven't enough money, they order them on platforms like Shein or Temu to try to be like an influencer without spending like one. No hate, but all of this for 2 nights is kinda wild. Yes, it is.
This may be controversial, but gatekeeping your costumes this year is not cutesy, so I'm going to show you guys all of the costumes that I ordered for this year from Shein, and if you need any ideas, stay tuned.
Halloween Sheen haul. Sheen Halloween haul. So we have 3 big bags. Let's open them up.
This phenomenon ultimately affects two types of people. On one end, there are those who end up spending too much, perhaps even $1,000 or euros on one single costume, because they think it's normal to do so. On the other hand, there are people who don't have that much money, but they still want to and try to replicate what influencers do, and in doing so, they end up buying from platforms like Shein. And I want to make a very quick excursus on Shein, so let's watch together 2 videos. The first one is a girl that is showing to us the expectations that she had before buying some costumes from Shein, and then the reality when those costumes actually arrived and she wore them. And the second video is again a compilation of 8 Halloween costumes, totally unnecessary. And yes, let's watch them together and then I'm going to elaborate. This is the first one. You can see, even through a display, even through the video, not in real life, you can already see that these costumes are of such poor quality. The materials are transparent, plasticky, that yes, maybe you didn't spend much on them, but I personally think that even $1, €1 is already too much. Is already too much for them. The fact that some people try to replicate influencers' costumes by buying a cheaper version of them on platforms like Shein or Temu, this allows me to introduce another thought. Because, you know, when someone criticizes influencers like Sophie, their followers immediately respond with, "Oh, but she does it so that we can take inspiration from her and create our own costumes." Is it to inspire? Or is it to create that wow effect that generates entertainment and consequentially money? Spoiler is the second one. Think about it. Unless influencers were completely out of touch with reality, and that could be true, I'm not gonna lie, but if they do know their followers even a little bit, they know precisely that most of them can't afford a 500 Padme costume. So if the intent was truly to inspire, they would make series like how to create your favorite Halloween costume with what you already have in your home, or on a limited budget. But that's not the real goal. The real goal is to amaze, and amazement generates engagement, and engagement generates money. And here, in my opinion, the followers also shares some of the blame. Because, and I'm being clear, I chose Sophie just as an example, but the same thing that I'm about to say applies to almost every influencer, every big influencer that has created a very strong and large community. If you read the comments under their videos, it's almost impossible to find something negative. On one hand, it's nice because I'm absolutely against any kind of hate message or destructive criticism, but on the other hand, it makes me wonder, am I the only one noticing all of this? These are the classic parasocial relationships in which the followers firmly defend their favorite influencer as if he or she was a sister, a friend, a member of the family or something. And this is a problem because at that point, ordinary people can no longer maintain a critical distance and they can no longer think, well, maybe this isn't a really healthy trend. The point is that influencers follow trends, but we also dictate those trends with what we watch and interact with. So perhaps we should start by no longer interacting with certain content, the content that generates waste, consumerism, unrealistic expectations, dissatisfaction, and all the above. Only in this way, influencers could be encouraged to shift towards more sustainable trends, with a positive impact not only on wallets but also on people's mind. But that, unfortunately, doesn't happen. So let's watch together some examples of the results of this entire system and mindset. This one says, me when someone asked me how many costumes I have planned for this year, and she's counting on both ends. And then we have another one that says, when you have too many Halloween costumes. And the audio refers to, I don't know which of the costumes that I have should I wear on Halloween day, which is a problem. And last but not least, we have another TikTok, and you can read right here, when I have more costumes than plans this year. If you have no plans, if you have no parties to go to, then you don't need multiple costumes. One costume, okay, I understand. When I was little, my mom and I used to wear witch hats on the night of Halloween, and we always had so much fun, and that was enough. But if you are at home and you don't have any event to go to, can you explain to me why do you need, let's say, 3 different costumes? I would kind of understand if you told me that you have 3 different parties to go to. I'd say it's a bit excessive still, but at least the motivation makes sense. You're just confirming what I was saying before, that you bought them to take pictures or create videos to post on your social media. Because otherwise you would have bought just one costume and that would have been enough. So logically this confirms my point. Many people do things not because they love them, but because they simply want to show them online. Luckily, I'm not the only one who thinks this way. There are other people on social media who share this point of view.
We're about to enter the most wasteful time of the year. There's a 25% increase in food waste during the holiday season. 83% of Halloween costumes are made from non-recyclable oil-based plastic, which ends up in landfill every single year. Like ultra-fast fashion. 7 million Halloween costumes are thrown out every single year in the UK alone. And in the US, more than 5.4 million kilograms of textile waste is generated from Halloween costumes every year. We simply do not have the planetary resources to keep this up. So alternatively, thrift, use what you already have, and get your DIY on.
It's true. I don't know what it is about autumn, but it truly is the worst season of the year in terms of consumerism and waste. It probably happens in autumn because this is a season we particularly love, or perhaps because we associate it with the start of the school year, the academic year, when we used to buy things that we needed for the entire year. And by the way, this also became a worrying trend where people buy everything they can and almost nothing of what they buy is really for school. It's always like clothes, accessories, something like that. But the problem is it doesn't even stop there. You just don't stop at September, because after that you begin to buy things for Halloween, and after Halloween you buy things for Christmas, and after Christmas there is this new year, new me situation. It truly never ends. It's an infinite chain of consumerism that lasts all year long. I don't know exactly, but one thing is certain. Today every season has become an excuse to start from scratch. And I'd like to make a dedicated video about this, by the way, because every season these days, under the negative influence of social media, seems to require a complete reset. People feel like they have to change their entire wardrobe, their home decors, their aesthetic, their personality. And there's clearly an identity problem here. People are searching for themselves in a society that is completely fragmented, especially due to all the political and social chaos that happened since COVID. So they look for their identity elsewhere, specifically on social media. But social media, instead of helping, make the situation worse. In the end, we have increasingly less stable identities that are constantly changing to adapt to what they see online. 35 million Halloween costumes are thrown away in the US each year. Most of them are made of plastic. We need to thrift. And this video brings to the surface another topic. Most people defend themselves by saying, I donated my costumes, but the truth is that many of these costumes are thrown away, really. Because it's just logic. Think about it. If most people have multiple costumes and someone, as we've already seen, can also have 31 different costumes, you can see how there's a huge surplus, so inevitably some of them end up in the trash. And let's face it, costumes aren't regular clothes, so also donating them isn't that simple. Yes, in some cases you can donate them to charity, perhaps to preschools, children's hospitals, educational centers, But you can't, for example, donate them to those who are in need, to those who are living in the streets. But let's move on to a couple of videos that I really enjoyed.
Welcome to day one of making my Halloween costume. Because this year I decided that instead of buying my Halloween costumes, I'm going to challenge myself to DIY every single one of them myself. In total, I have 5 costumes that I plan on doing. So that means I have up until October 31st to finish making everything, which I'm not gonna lie is going to be a ton of work, but I'm hoping that I can pull it off. And today we're starting with our first costume, the Queen of Hearts. The plan was simple. I was going to make a dress completely out of cards. And luckily I had all of the tools I needed to create it. A dress, lots of cards, and my handy dandy glue.
Don't throw away your Halloween costumes. Consider keeping them and re-wearing them. This costume is 23 years old. My mom got these witch costumes for herself to wear for a school event that I had, and I've worn them so many times throughout my life. Here's me in 3rd grade wearing it. Obviously, some of the components of the costume we've swapped out because I no longer fit, but the majority of the pieces I still fit in. I pull this costume out every single year. There's no shame in re-wearing your Halloween costume.
A comment says, it's so much cuter than the costumes made today too. Probably because of the materials, because today it's normalized for brands, even high quality brands, to make things of such poor quality. So I'm not talking about Shein or Temu, I'm talking about items that are not cheap to buy, but still the materials are the same used by Shein or Temu. So yeah, I keep all of them because if I have children, they could also go in their dressing up box. Right, so cute. I didn't think about that. The last topic that I wanted to address is timing. So the fact that we are starting to think about the future earlier and earlier and earlier. And this creates a lot of anxiety in me, first of all. But I think that many other people feel the same. Because social media is the realm of influencers, so they need to start early promoting their stuff. Because let's say that I want to promote a Halloween costume and I do it the day before Halloween. People have only one day to buy that costume through my link. So I need to start very early. Let's say that I start promoting that same costume 1 month prior Halloween. In this way, people have a whole month, and in this way I can make a lot more money. So do you want to see what is happening in our society? Let's take a look together.
What do you mean you don't know what's your Halloween costume? Halloween is literally right around the corner, and you still don't know what you're being for Halloween? Halloween is on a Friday this year. Do you know what that means? I don't think you know what that means because you would already have your Halloween costume ready to go. Get it together.
Do you want to know when this TikTok was published? Are you ready for the answer? I don't think so. It was the 29th of July. It's insane. Really, I'm being for real right now. I'm not joking.
October 31st is basically right around the corner now that the 4th of July is over, and if you're like me, you're already...
No, it's not. It's not basically around the corner. Anyway, let's keep watching.
You're already thinking about your Halloween costumes and how you're gonna beat last year's and how you're gonna be best dressed. So here are 15 unique cool girl Halloween costumes to make sure that you will be the best dressed.
So she gives some ideas to her followers. Anyway, we can move on. Also, this TikTok was filmed in July. At the beginning of July. I don't know what to say anymore. Really.
Speaking of the fitness and wellness creators, tapping into the winter arc niche could be really fun as we enter the Burr months. So you can share your winter arc agenda or do a get ready with me to have a winter arc and share the different tips you're doing to have a winter glow up.
So what happened is that some people are already thinking about Halloween as early as July, but before Halloween even arrives, they are already thinking about Christmas. And same thing goes on for Christmas and all the other events of the year. So basically they are always thinking about the next thing and all the things they need to buy for that particular event. This is a deeply demoralizing situation because to feel satisfied on Halloween, people start buying things in July. But before Halloween arrives, the day in which they could potentially enjoy their satisfaction, they are already thinking about what they need to buy to feel satisfied on Christmas. You know what I mean? So besides the fact that the idea of finding satisfaction in material things is wrong in itself, the problem is that it doesn't even work anymore. And on the same topic, I also saw a video that caught my attention. So as you can see, this TikTok says, "Who's ready for my Halloween influencer party?" It was the 15th of July. So yes, somebody also commented this. It's July. This is another video Look up in the sky, Gianna's Halloween party is coming up. Yeah, it was the 26th of July, so not the middle of July, but the end of July. We're making progress. So apparently there's this glow house that's organizing a Halloween party for influencers, and they started to advertising it in the middle of July. Anyway, everyone wants to participate, and since the organizers said that they'd send invitations even to minor influencers, now there's literally a rush to get noticed.
Gianna said she's inviting more people to her Halloween party, so here's my addition to join. I also don't want to sound like that desperate and needy.
5 reasons why Gianna should invite me to her Halloween party.
Gianna's having a Halloween party, and you know, we'd love to.
Gianna's inviting more people to her party. Hi Gianna, I'm Alexa and I'm one of your mutuals on TikTok, and this is my audition to be invited to your Halloween party.
Guys, I saw that Gianna was inviting more people to her party and I really want to go, so I'm gonna make a video on why I should go. I already made one of these, but it was a while ago.
Stay with me while I try to get invited to Gianna's Halloween party. This is on your FYP, comment FYP, and also tag Gianna for me, please.
Get ready with me, but this is my audition to go to Gianna's Halloween party. And if this is on your For You page, please interact, because TikTok only pushes out videos that people interact with, so Gianna can see this, and please at her, please.
Seriously, I find it crazy, especially because in this case, it involves very young kids. They're desperate. It's truly disturbing. This person said, "Y'all are auditioning for a party? Hope you get accepted though." Yes, girl, I had the same reaction.
Hey, guess what? I got invited to the Glow House party. Guys, that's Halloween party. Here I come. Ow, ow. I literally got invited to the Glow House party. I'm freaking out. And we'll shake. But can I get a strawberry? I'll say eat because I'm really so excited. The Glow House party, right? Yeah. I got invited to the Halloween one. I know, I'm literally freaking out.
Anyway, this poor barista, he clearly doesn't have an idea of what he's talking about. It's just, congratulations. And also disturbing the whole place. These people are working. So I'm learning so many things about this glow house because there's so much that needs to be said. In fact, I think that my next video, or at least one of the next ones, will be on this topic. I'll conclude with this last video, which I wholeheartedly agree with, which says something simple but very much true. Highlight, put your clothes back on. We're about to discuss the over-commercialization of Halloween and how a holiday meant to celebrate the harvest and venerate the dead has become a cash grab, creating an unimaginable amount of plastic that will inevitably end up in a landfill. And this person commented, also Christmas, Valentine's Day, Easter, St. Patrick's, no celebration is safe from capitalism. True. Literally, I love Halloween so much, but I go to the stores and I can't find anything new I want because it's all garbage. So yes, holidays in general, not only Halloween, those moments that were once special for the experiences shared with friends, family, loved ones, have now become merely occasion to spend, buy, and waste. When I think of Halloween, I think about the time spent with my family, the laughter, the movies we chose to watch together. It was those moments that made it special. And with that, I conclude this video. If you're interested in topics like these, related to overconsumption, influencers culture, and all the dynamics surrounding these topics, I invite you to subscribe to the channel. This space will precisely discuss these things in depth. And if you've come this far just out of curiosity anyway, a huge thank you for watching the entire video. See you next week.